watched a show on Netflix. It's called 137 Shots. Does anybody know about this story? It takes place in Cleveland. You would think that every human being on the planet would have heard of this story. I couldn't even hardly watch it.
I just cannot understand why they would have shot Tim and Melissa so many times.
I hear a loud gunshot from the police headquarters building.
The source of the so-called gunfire was backfire.
Go get him.
Police cars started chasing him, and it began a 23-minute, 23-mile chase all over the city of Cleveland.
They cornered them in a school parking lot. 13 officers were shooting into the car.
137 shots that we know about.
They died that night in a hailstorm of bullets, 49 of which were fired by defendant Breland.
Every story is about the humans in it, and this is a story about human beings.
In Cleveland, the African-American community aren't treated with respect and dignity.
Most cops are good cops. They just protect bad cops.
It was just a perfect storm.
If you're thinking it's made up and everyone is attacking the police, you're not hearing the history.
There's a part of you that always wants this to be the story that's different. Perhaps we're going to believe that sometimes police officers can behave very badly.
In Cleveland, Ohio, the Black community pleads for reform of the police.
That's all we want, accountability.
So, in Cleveland, a cop is like sitting in his cop car or standing on the corner, and a car drives by. 12 o'clock at night. And the car, there's a backfire. We've all heard them before. It sounds just like a gunshot. It was not a gunshot. It was proven that it wasn't a gunshot. It was a backfire from a muffler. Bang! The cop gets on his thing and says, a car just drove by me and shot at me. This is in Cleveland. So what do you think a proper response is? Let's get him. I agree with that. The guy drove by, shot at a cop. He doesn't know it's a backfire. Everything's copacetic. So now, years later, they're piecing the documentary together so we get to hear all the audio. In pursuit, in pursuit. How many cars do you think should chase a car like that? 3? 4? Maybe 5? 67 police cars. 67 police cars chased this car. 67 police cars chased this car. Now, hindsight, the guy should have pulled over. Yes, we agree. Ambrose, 67 police cars, bro. It sounds crazy, but when you see the footage, and it takes about, you see the first cars going by, chasing him, it takes about 8 minutes of footage before all the cars are out. You're like, when did they stop? How many cars? I didn't even know the police had 67 cars in Cleveland. I didn't know. The whole police force chased them. They chased them for 20 minutes. I want to get to the story of why they didn't pull over. Because you're saying, well, they didn't pull over. That is true. Cops are chasing you, pull over. And get out and put your hands up, especially if you're black. Put your hands up, then pull over. Put your hands out the window and pull over. But they chased him. And you're hearing the traffic. And remember, his car has a muffler problem, so it backfires. And then it backfired again. And police are going, he's shooting at us, guys. That's why 67 cars are now involved. Then, one officer says it's backfires. I see the spark coming out of his thing. Nobody cared to listen to that. They're assuming that he's shooting at them. The talk on the radio is, he just reached out and shot at me. Okay. Cops are in fear for their lives. I get it. I'm not judging the cops yet. I will. They finally chase him. I think it took about 20 minutes. Again, I'm going to explain to you why they didn't pull over in a minute. They finally chased them into like a cul-de-sac, a dead end by a school. What happened was the car pulls over and the cop cars surround the car. There's 20 cars in a circle around this car. Okay? Here's the car. There's the car in the middle, and there's the cop cars around the outside edge. The cop cars start shooting at each other. Well, they start shooting at this guy, right? But what you don't understand is that when a cop over here shoots at this car, his bullet travels on. These cops are shooting each other. So the cops now say, he's shooting back at us, he's shooting at us. But he had no gun. By the way, there was no gun. There never was a gun. There's no dispute that there was never a gun now. But because the cops were in a circle, which any 3-year-old with a gun knows you don't crossfire at people. So the cops surrounded him and they all shot. And you're shooting at the guy, but bullets are coming at you. Well, that's because the other cops on the other side of the car are shooting through the car. Okay, so the name of the program is called 137 Shots. 137. Guys, if I was to go bang, 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 it would take 4 minutes. Here's the kicker. At some point, a police officer runs to the car, a Chrysler. He jumps. This is a Rambo move. You would never even see this. Stallone would do this, maybe. He runs and jumps. There's the car. He runs and jumps on the hood of the car and stands on the hood right over the windshield and unloads 15 shots into both the man and the woman, killing them. If the 137 shots didn't get him, this guy ran. Here's the car. He ran and jumped on the hood and then shot down into the windshield from 1 foot away. Bang, 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 bang. 15 times. Killed them both. That cop was so scared, he'd never been so scared. It was the worst scare of his life, and he's been to Fallujah, and he was a war. Okay. Well, then they find out there was no gun. They find out it was a backfire. Then they find out the reason that this man and woman wouldn't pull over is because the cop who reported the gunshot, he was a cop who would hang down by the homeless shelter and beat up homeless people. One of those type of cops. Beat them up, plant crack on them, mess with the girls. He beat up this girl an hour before. He used to beat her up all the time. He beat up the girl, and then he even followed them and pulled them over and threatened them right before the chase. That all comes out later. So the only reason they were running is because this guy was threatening to beat her up again. He had beat her up many times. This is a cop. In the long run, 6 cops were charged. 1 cop was charged with two counts of, not murder, what do they call it? Voluntary manslaughter, whatever. He went to trial, not guilty. Well, he was fearing for his life. So the guys had no gun. The guys were running from a crooked cop. Anyways, if you get a chance to see it, it is fascinating. The footage that came out, this happened 10 or 12 years ago, whatever, but the footage that came out, it's called 137 Shots. It's on Netflix. You can see it now, and it's quite something how the judicial system works for some. And here's the one thing that I really took away, the one thing that disgusted me more than anything, because I could see a cop being scared, and the cops didn't know. The cops are thinking, oh, he's shooting at us, so I'm shooting back. Even though it's other cops, bullets that are hitting your car. Every cop car had bullet holes all in it, but from other cops, because they were shooting cross. You know, if somebody's standing here and I'm on this side shooting and someone's on this side shooting, guess where the bullets go? Anyways, the worst part of the whole documentary was when it went to trial, all the cops who had already spoken to the police union and to other detectives were called to take the stand. What do you think they did? What do you think these police officers who we pay to protect us and to honor and uphold the law, what do you think they did when they were called to the stand to testify against the cop? Every single one of them took the fifth. The fifth is your right. No, worse, Danny. I wish they would have lied. The fifth is your right as an American citizen. You do not have to testify if you can incriminate yourself. I get it. But I don't get how police officers, it's called the blue wall. Every single one. In fact, when the first one went up and said, I refuse to incriminate myself, and I don't, well, I take the fifth. It's on one of our amendments. We're allowed to take the fifth. And that means be quiet. Damn, girl. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't even know. Sorry. Anyways, the first one took it, and then the guy says, the district attorney says, Your Honor, please make him testify. The judge says, well, you know, you're allowed to have the fifth. We're all granted the Fifth Amendment. We're allowed to take the fifth, to not testify. That is our right. And the attorney, he says, what is your grounds for this? And the district attorney said, well, Your Honor, every single cop, there's 60 cops, they're all going to say the same thing if you allow him to not say it. The judge says, well, we'll see. But I have no facts that that's going to happen. Guess what? Every single cop except one who was either retiring or he was from a different system, different county. Every single one got up and said the same thing. I refuse. The guy was found not guilty. A man and a woman were shot and murdered. An innocent man and a woman were just out riding around. No gun, no crime. Anyways, if you get a chance to check it out, it's just something. I couldn't even sleep last night thinking about it. I support the police. I support all good, hardworking, honest police officers. And I do not support those who mistreat people. I love you all very much, and I appreciate you. Danny, I kind of believe you. I agree there. I think if you're a police officer, I think you should have to testify about. By the way, I've been to court. I was in trouble a lot when I was younger, and I've been to other courts, and we've all seen courts, and a lot of cops get up and testify. They testify about the murderer. Yeah, I came in, the guy was holding the gun. That wasn't what this was. They were not testifying about the cop. They were asking, what was the driver doing? Oh, the driver, it looked like he had a gun. They would have testified about him all day long, but they couldn't because you can't take the fifth and then tell a little bit of what happened. If you take the fifth, you don't speak. You can't say, I take the fifth on that question. Oh, but yeah, the guy was carrying a gun, sir. But I take the fifth on did my friend. Can't do that. You take the fifth, you can't. You're testified. You can't testify. Anyways, I know it's a little long and rambling. Guys, I ain't slept today. I hope that you're all being kind and loving. Life is short. Let's be good to each other.
I find that the state did not prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Michael Brillo, knowingly caused the deaths of Timothy Russell and Melissa Williams because the essential element of causation was not proved for both counts. I therefore find the defendant not guilty of counts 1 and 2 as indicted. The state did prove the lesser included offense of felonious assault on both counts by demonstrating beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant knowingly caused serious physical harm to both victims. But the defendant proved by a preponderance of the evidence that he is legally excused from liability for those crimes because he caused the serious physical harm of the victims in a constitutionally reasonable effort to end an objectively reasonable perception that he and the others present were threatened by Russell and Williams with imminent serious bodily harm. I therefore also find the defendant not guilty of felonious assault, the lesser included offense on both indicted counts, and the defendant is discharged. Thank you. We're off the record.